Thank you everyone for joining here today. In today's session, we will be discussing, we will be focusing on NFTs. What are the NFTs in the Fifth Kingdom ecosystem? We will be going first, we'll start by discussing lords and companions. So, fifth Shadow, Zulfiqar, I want you to just make a brief introduction and then we just go deeply into the community question. So, the question that everyone wants to answer: what is like a Lord NFT in the Fifth Kingdom, and like, what are the companions and how do they support the Lord?
Well, I'll open up and Zulfi. We're calling him Zulfi, so that's the.
Okay.
If you're looking for a nickname, it's Zulfi. I'll pass the mic to you. You can introduce yourself as well, and then feel free to answer Jean-Claude's question in addition to that. So I'm Fifth Shadow. I'm one of the four founders here at Fifth Kingdom. We all have different specialties, but I will say as entrepreneurs, we all share a lot of the same or similar roles. I'm more of the business strategist, Zulfi, who will introduce himself as well. More of the creative visionary. I always joke he's right-brained, I'm left-brained, but we have our fully functioning brains. So I deal a lot in the business systems and the strategy behind the business. Zulfiqar deals a lot more in the creative vision and the future and the current creativity of the system of the Fifth Kingdom as well. Known Zulfiqar for quite a long time. We've been in different businesses together. A Web 2 background. Both have actually T backgrounds and technical backgrounds, as well as being involved in the Web3 and the digital asset space. So Zulfi, with that, I'll go ahead and pass the mic to you. You can make a brief introduction and go ahead and answer that question Jean-Claude asked as well while I man the chat.
Certainly, thank you. Hey everyone, it's Zulfi. NFT Durfakar. Not really though, it's just a nickname. Like Shadow said, a little bit more of the artistic side of the team. The way I like to frame it is if it were up to me, we would have every feature under the sun. Everything would be 80% done. Shadow's the one who selects what goes on the editing floor and what doesn't. Good enough for MVP and make sure that there's a bow on everything so it's ready for prime time. Jean-Claude, if you don't mind, I'll just get into your question. What is a Lord NFT? It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's a great idea, right up there with the person that decided to start queuing in front of a business. People used to just meander about and stand around in large crowds. It was disorderly. What we are doing is bringing a new standard to NFTs, a new expectation. Days of $40 cat pictures and JPEGs are gone. If it could be right-clicked and pasted, you don't really own it, I'm sorry to say. So what is a Lord NFT? A Lord NFT is one of 10,000 NFTs that we're releasing as the inaugural Genesis NFT collection for the Fifth Kingdom crypto project and Web3 company. Our lords dictate your experience in our system. That's a very wordy way to say when you mint your NFT, your lord, it's going to have one of two stats. It's going to have a primary stat, which is going to be your discovery rate, which is 1 to 5% based on rarity. And it's going to have a secondary stat. The secondary stat is either going to reduce fees, increase the discovery rate, a certain type of action. Right now, everything is elite mining because we only have mines. As we start to explore new expeditions, you'll see different skills start to change, be available. What's the difference between a lord and a companion? There really is no difference other than just supremacy in the system. So everybody gets a Lord NFT. Companions are Lord NFTs. Now, what happened is when we were first designing the system, we realized in our test group there was a lot of jealousy because every single Lord NFT we have is better than anything else on the market. That's just a fact. However, where that little green-eyed jealous monster comes in is when players start to compare what they have with what other players have. The delta between common and a mythic NFT is as wide as the Grand Canyon. Then I thought to myself, I said, okay, well, what could we do to give people the ability to be able to enhance their character? And my first thoughts were, well, of course, we can add armor and items and you can equip your guy. And then my other thought was, okay, we might not be able to develop all this stuff. What if we just got people who want to buy more NFTs? Well, then what would they do? So the idea was you could combine your primary Lord NFT. So of course, people will pick their best one. And you could supplement them with up to 5 companions. So if you have 6 NFTs, you can create one full household. And that's how we came up with the household idea, so that you would have your best NFT being your lord. That'll be your primary discovery rate. That'll dictate your overall discovery rate. When you start placing those lord NFTs that you want to use as companions to the secondary slots, it'll use your secondary skills. Your household, not just your lord NFT, will dictate what your outcomes are, your fee rates, your discovery rates. Jean-Claude, do you think that answers the question of what are the lord NFTs? And then ultimately, everyone should understand by now that our philosophy is that your NFT is a contract on the blockchain. So when you mint your NFT, that's like a service level agreement that you have between yourself, the holder, and the project. We have goods and services that we are providing. What you pay for those, your experience as you participate in those events, and served by the NFT that you hold. So for those of you that come from a sales background like me, just view it as a tradable SLA, a service level agreement.
Yes, I think it answers it perfectly. Yeah, please continue. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. The last little thing. And this is why Shadow has to tell me, no, it's good enough, man. Let's get it out there. Let's get it to the market. As we develop more services, as we have more features, more video games that will come out, you don't have to buy a new NFT. There's a reason why we have stats and skills built into our NFTs. You will just learn new skills that allow you to participate in those systems. And when you buy your NFT, it's good forever. So we're never going to do a full rehaul where you have to go and buy a whole new type of NFT or a whole new collection in order to participate in the system. Once you're in, you're in. I view it as like the opposite of reverse engineering, backwards compatibility. Your NFTs from day one are forward compatible. Anything we ever come up with, I have a lot of ideas. Anything we come up with, you will be able to do with what you bought, any collection that you come into the Fifth Kingdom with. That's our guarantee. And I don't like to use the G word.
Yes, exactly. And that's why, like, when you buy an NFT, you want to know, like, yes, this will always have like a utility in the ecosystem, in the game, everything you're doing in the ecosystem. Let me go to the second question before we start taking questions from the community, because I'm already seeing a lot of nice questions in the community.
I'm trying to keep up, guys. If I'm not answering your question, we'll try to get to it live or at some point. Sorry, Glauba.
Yeah. I don't want to take their questions away. So I will just go to my second question. So when we say build your household, what do we mean by that? Can we maybe dive deeper to explain the household for the community?
Certainly. So I'll answer it in the practical way, which is what I alluded to earlier, which is it's your 6 best NFTs that give you the best outcomes. We have a 5% a month discovery cap. You can't go beyond that. So if you roll a mythic and you have a 5% discovery rate, you're done. Go try to minimize your fees because there's no reason to go higher than that. The idea is to give people the ability to enhance their discovery rate if they didn't get a roll they liked. So it's a way for us that if somebody has a bad, I don't want to say bad RNG, but if you didn't get the rarity that you wanted, you could take 6 commons. It competes with a rare or legendary, depending on how much luck you have. There's a little bit of element of gamification. Yeah, the gods of RNG do what they want. But that was the original idea behind the households was if somebody doesn't get what they want, we don't want people being frustrated, feeling like, oh, I only got this. Well, you could have 5 of the lowest rarity NFTs. When you put them together, they compete with a much higher discovery rate NFT. So that was the idea. And then from a narrative point of view, your household, that represents your character. If you think about it, anyone that has ever been in like the creative world or ever been an entrepreneur or wanted to start your own thing, how do you start? You have an idea. You might not be able to do anything. So what do? You might not be able to do everything. So you reach out to friends and family and people that are in your circle to support you. So narratively, if you think about it as your Lord NFT being your primary character, and then you enlist up to 5 friends to support you as you go to the Fifth Kingdom, which is this new world that we've created, and you want to make your fortune. The relationship of the household is really your primary Lord NFT, your 5 best friends, and what you make of that is up to you, and good luck. You think that answers the question, John?
I think it answers it perfectly because you covered it on both, like the economic side and how you can maximize your gains, and the other side where it goes more into the narrative. You want to be involved in both to enjoy it. So Shadow, are we ready to go to the community questions? Because I'm seeing we have already a lot of questions. So maybe if we go now and we cover them, or I
think we've done a great job describing the NFTs. It's a simple concept. It's just that we are introducing terms that have not been heard before, like lords, companions, households. These are not terms that are common in this space. So it's like, what is it? It's really not that confusing. You have a household. Like I actually saw a thread, and I'll try to find it later. Somebody used an analogy. It was almost like a household is like a restaurant. Your lord is like the owner of the restaurant, and the companion are like the waiters and the cooks and the cashiers. That's a very good way of looking at it. It's just a simple, this is the house. You have a main lord that determines your rate. You have companions that boost it different ways. That's how you earn. That's how you boost the gameplay. It's a very simple concept, which will be broken out further along, but I think we did a great job with that initially. So we will go ahead and go to some questions, and there are some really good questions. Let's see. So I'll start with Sam Wissy. He asked a really good question. What mechanisms are in place to ensure NFT utility remains valuable and doesn't become purely cosmetic over time? I'll let you answer that first, Zulfiqar, and then I can jump in and get some clarity on that as well.
I'm trying to think of how to answer it best. The best way we did that is the fact that we tied our utility into real world service. So we actually own a money management company, right? So all the USDT deposits, we transfer to our money management company. So as you are withdrawing the SPL utility tokens that you can use to either craft items, enhance your systems, build this world that we're building, whatever you want to do. Or we just take the real world capital that we make and we buy it back from you. So a company would do a guaranteed buyback. We plan on doing that through a rolling bid buyback system in our marketplace. So that's the big difference. And that's a reason why we have a capped yield rate. Of course, if this was just a typical crypto project where our intention is to sell you the dream, we would make it like a 20% yield and there would be nothing backing it. And if we hit the target, good. If we didn't hit the target, that's crypto, baby. We're not doing that. I said it before. I hope everyone looks at our 5% max yield, not a statement that we can't hit those crazy numbers like some people hit every month, but it's a statement of maturity and discipline. There's an expectation from the household owner and the mine depositor, and there's an expectation and a confidence in our ability to meet liabilities on our end. That will not go away. So immediately, your NFT isn't just worth what you paid for it. Depending on your status, whether you're a leviathan, a whale, a dolphin, a guppy, whatever you can put into the system is going to dictate what that NFT is worth to you. And I said this to Maisie's group the other day. I don't want to give too many examples because I don't want to make people feel bad, but I've met some whales that go hard in these systems. If you were to ask somebody what they would pay for a system that gave them 4 or 5% per month discovery rate, well, if that person has 250,000 USDT to throw around, it might be worth more than somebody who has 50,000 USDT to throw around or 5,000 USDT to throw around. So the real world services that we tie to our initial core philosophy will ensure value, definitely, to the user. But when you start thinking about the speculative market, what it might be worth to somebody else, well, that's dictated by the person that the somebody else is. If that somebody else is Bill Gates, it might be worth a little bit more.
Exactly. When I think what stops the Fifth Kingdom NFTs from becoming purely cosmetic? Well, let's ask a question. I hate answering questions with a question, but I'll ask a question. I'm going to answer, so don't worry about it. Let's ask a question. Why are NFTs purely cosmetic? Why are they cosmetic in the first place?
They don't do anything.
Well, exactly. The answer in the question. The answer is built into the question. So whether they start out as cosmetic or they end up as cosmetic, the reality is they don't do anything. Right now, sometimes, like we have alluded to and have stated on other AMAs, sometimes projects will get clever with tokenomics where there'll be some airdrop behind the NFT, or there'll be some component where you have a token utility that is a utility. I use the word loosely, by the way, where you stake and it just gets paid back out to people. At the end of the day, it's just taking your money and paying it out to yourself, back to yourself, and to a bunch of people just dribbled over time. So it ends up becoming cosmetic. That's actually how that happens because there's no sustainability, and there's no sustainability because there's no value being added. There's just value being extracted. So that's the reason why NFTs end up being cosmetic, because we don't have that problem, because we bring utility that doesn't, we bring value that does not exist through our utility. That's where the mines come in. That's where we've taken the best from play to earn, where you're playing the game and you unlock a mine, you own the mine. Somebody who sees this and says, hold on a minute, 1 to 5 months. Well, that NFT now is worth, Zulfiqar said, a lot more than 250 USDT to me, right? Because if I'm somebody that understands gaming, understands DeFi, and wants to participate to get that return, and the entire system is designed to work with itself, those NFTs become incredibly valuable and incredibly utility driven. So there's really no way for them to become cosmetic, because the demand is going to be such that utility for these NFTs, both on the gaming side and the DeFi side, either one exists separately in the market, but we have them both combined here at Fifth Kingdom. So I hope that answers your question, Sam Wissy.
And I just want to add one last little bit there, because you hit on it, but I want to make sure that even our You Did It listeners get this. Where does the USDT come from that we use to do buybacks utility tokens? It doesn't come from NFT sales. It doesn't come from fees. It doesn't come from you, the player, the participant. It comes from real world value that we turned over and then purchased those tokens in exchange. So the value that is used to purchase your tokens was originated and is tied to a real world value, because it was value that was created in the real world. This is a reason why our tokenomics are different. And there's a reason why we have 3 prongs to our DeFi project. And it's not just token issuance or a video game or governance protocol. It's all 3 in 1. It has to be. The 3 relate to each other, they support each other, and there's a symbiosis. So once again, no money from player A will ever go to player B unless you are selling to each other on the marketplace. Class, I have no place in that. That's between 2 consenting adults. Any tokens that are purchased by the project from you, the player, came from fresh capital that was turned over. That is fresh value that is boarded of the slime capital on a blockchain, not just money being shuffled around. That's the difference. The difference between us and other people is that we have the ability to generate profit right now. Others don't. You are the commodity. You are the service. Not with Fifth Kingdom.
I think they call that a mic drop. Okay. And Wissy, hope that answers your question. I'm going to go to, I think I'm saying your name right, Posh Moeller, 111. This is a great question. What is something about Fifth Kingdom that the community is not paying enough attention to today, but that you believe will become one of the most valuable aspects of the ecosystem in the future?
12% to 60% PY. You add up the monthly discovery rates. You can't get that anywhere else. We checked. And if you find it, send it to me. And don't send me meme tokens that people got dumped on. Doesn't count. It'll be the same 5 years from now. 72 months from now, I'll quote this AMA.
There's individual DeFi systems that are broken. I can talk for 20 minutes about why they're broken. I won't. Basically, it ends up being that there's some sort of staking mechanism where it gets loaned out, and it's a very risky system because it takes a piece for that to break, and you lose your money, and you're left holding the bag. Play to earn is a whole segment that is also broken. Mainly because there's no value being created. There's just value mainly being transferred. That's actually what play to earn is. It's taking value from Peter, and it's giving that value to Paul. Peter is wondering where his money went. Paul has his money, and then the owners took a part of it, and then he's left holding the bag. That's why play to earn is broken. NFTs, we already touched on that. They don't have anything mostly beyond cosmetic utility, if you want to call that a utility. I guess artwork is a utility. It's to a collector, it's a utility, but at the end of the day, it's not actually creating any value. So when you take each of these systems individually, they're broken, right? We have taken the best of those three systems and plugged them into, and the best feeds the rest. You can quote that. So I think that's what people are going to overlook, right? I don't think you guys are overlooking it, but I think people who come in later be like, wait a minute, you guys took this and plugged this into this. It's going to make sense, but hope that answers your question. Zulfiqar, you have something you want to add to that?
No, that was a great point, because we even catch people saying that, oh, this isn't like just a play to earn video game. Of course it's not. We keep saying that. It's the highest yield DeFi project without being able to dump on people. Somebody sells you a token for 11 cents. They get some celebrity like IShowSpeed to pump it up to $1,000 in 24 hours, and the whole liquidity pool gets drained. That does nothing for everyone left holding the bag. But you can't call that a success by any means. And I know people in the industry that do. So people need to see the fact that it's the DeFi rates are the highest across the entire across the entire world. Nobody in Web3 is doing this. And to play to earn video game, your earnings are tied to a token that just continuously gets minted. The liquidity pool gets drained. It's tied to that real world service. Our players open up the capabilities, the lords deposit, get the yields, fees are paid to the players. So it really is a living, breathing world that you are in. Yeah, I'll just stop there.
Imagine a play to earn system where you don't have to sit there and watch a chart all day of a token falling. I mean, you could focus on playing the game, having fun, progressing, earning, and you don't have to stress out about watching a token drop on a chart all day and having Xerion or something notify you that the token's dropped 20%, 20%, 20%, and then you realize the project is ending. Imagine not having that stress. That's a new thing in play to earn. It's not been done yet. So I hope that answers your question. This is a question I've seen asked a couple of times now, so I'm going to pick this one here. I don't know if I'm going to say your name right. Hamid, I think is the name. That's how you say it. You emphasize that strategy should matter more than speculation. But since Lords have an RNG-based influence tier, how are you making sure player skill and decision-making ultimately matter more simply than getting lucky during the mint? In simple words, does the game give priority to luck rate or skill? So essentially, how do you balance strategy with luck based on an RNG system, I think is the crux of the question.
Well, the honest answer is the best you can. Right now, we're starting with one expedition type, so we have one secondary skill set type, elite mining. As we incorporate more things you can do, you're going to need skills to participate in those. You can't be a craftsman if you don't have the craftsman trait. You can't do this if you don't have it. So as we expand a lot more of those choices that you make about not just the yield that your companions are giving you access to, not just the fee reduction they're giving you access to, but also the features within the game that it gives you access to. If you're a person who likes to take your materials, your utility tokens, create items, and then people want to use those items to increase their household or their gaming experience, for those that have played the game. Once you get past stage 10, you can use all the help you can get. So that's where more of the strategy is going to come into play. So step one, you're correct. The fewer items you have on the list, you have less choices. So there's an element of luck, then a matter of what's more important to you. Do you want to get the highest yield? Do you want to pay the fewest amount of fees? How many do you want to own? But as we envelop and as we release more and more features and systems, that's where you're going to have to figure out, okay, well, I have to have at least one that does this. Okay, I'm going to have to get one that does at least this. And that's where more of that strategy is going to come into play, particularly when we have more than just mines. Trade routes, owning your own ships, dragons, owning your own dragons, raising your own dragons, breeding your own dragons, guilds, being a collection of households, having a guild leader represent you, the voting member, the sovereign, ability to get your ideas across the goalpost in the sovereign, things like that. That's going to require strategy. That's going to require being nice to the people that you meet on the way up, because you might meet them again on the way down. That would be my answer.
Saying. I had the next question picked out, but I'm going to actually answer this as well. So when we originally designed the system, we had the RNG 1 through 5% and all the different things with the lords. We said, well, what if somebody rolls 1% and they're like, darn it, I wish I could have gotten a 2 or 3, ideally a 5. Or they rolled a 3 and they wish they could have gotten a 4, whatever the case may be. That's why we created the household system where you had companions and up to 5. It's not just a way to absorb more NFTs, although it is. That's not the only reason, that's not the only reason behind it. The other reason was so that you have a chance, if you rolled a 1, that you could have other NFTs that you look at their secondary and you're like, hold on, if I place these in the secondary, I can go from 1 to maybe a 3 or 2 or 2.5 or whatever the case may be, wherever you are along that 1 through 5. That's a way to strategize and have the RNG component, but also the gameplay. If you think about the gameplay, if you have a group of players who are playing the game and they unlock the mine, well, what if you just played more than they did? You actually have larger ownership of that mine than your fellow players because you were just participating in the game more. You had a better character, you had better strategy in the game, and therefore you own more of the mine. So you're earning more than your fellow players. So there's a whole strategy element with the game. There's a strategy element with the household, as well as where you are placing your NFTs, either as a lord or as companions. And of course, there will always be secondary markets where you can pick up, once we're sold out, we could pick up other NFTs that have the actual specific traits you were looking for beyond the RNG component as well. Hope that answers that question. And if there's nothing else beyond that, I'm going to go to next question. I think it's by, definitely going to get this wrong. I think it's a Gung. Will NFTs in Fifth Kingdom evolve over time based on player achievements, activity, or in-game decisions? And what strategies are being implemented to prevent NFT inflation and protect the value of existing NFT holders? That's a fantastic question.
Great question. So I'm going to mention a feature that we talked about in the past. It's in the white paper, titles. So I mentioned it before, I was a World of Warcraft player and have a title called Death's Demise. Sick. I got it back when it was hard to get it. So I could just borrow that idea. When we incorporated titles, it was just fun. The rarity of the title, we'll be able to flex it. That's great. But I also played a game called Lord of the Rings Online back in the day. And they had a system where the way that you were able to customize your character and do your build wasn't just through like a talent system. It was through actually doing things in the game. They were called deeds. And when you did something in the game that gave you a deed, it would increase your stats. So you could get like Valor level 4, Valor level 5. The idea is that as you participate in these systems, whether it's buying things off the marketplace, whether it's raising a dragon, whether it's depositing into the mine, whether it's owning a certain number of mines, whether it's getting a certain amount of embers, completing a certain amount of quests, you're going to get titles. Those titles can be applied to your character. Your lord can only apply 1 title. So that's how we fight inflation. But depending on what you do, how difficult it was, how rare it was, the benefits, the ancillary benefits that you get in the system from having that title will apply to your entire household. So each primary lord will be able to assign 1 title, and that'll give you an overall boost for a certain amount of time for as long as you hold that title. I hope that answered your question, but that's the first thing I can think of. And the way that we stop the people getting too OP, you can only have 1 at a time.
I don't have much to add to that. I think you answered it perfectly. I'm sifting through more questions here. By the way, I am seeing some questions, and by the way, there is no such thing as a bad question, but there's a question that you could ask that has already been answered, right? It doesn't make it bad, it just means it's been answered. So questions about like, what are the NFTs and what do they do and things like that nature, please read the website, go back to past AMAs, we've done 2 of them already. There's a light paper. We're going to be, like I mentioned before we started, we're going to be working on a wiki. We're going to be publishing more technical, detailed white paper. There's also an FAQ section at the bottom of the website that we'll be building out between today and Monday. So there's a lot of material out there that explains that. So if I'm not answering or Zulfiqar's not answering a question, it's not because it's a bad question. It might just be it's either too many questions or it just doesn't fit because it's been answered already.
And if I haven't already answered the question about what the NFTs do,
answering because it encompasses all the different ways it's been asked already. So Big Well says he's worked with, I should say, NFT projects for years. He's still active in one at the moment. He's seen the hype and the drop off that follows. So have I, by the way. And not just with NFTs, with a lot of things. His question is, you talk about building citizens, not just players. So how are you planning to work with existing NFT communities and creators to grow in a way that lasts? Are there partnership or co-creation models where affiliated communities can add real value, not just show up for a one-time rate or airdrop? In other words, I've seen people ask a couple times, can we work? Will we work?
we can answer.
How are we going to work with creators to help build Kingdom and like the story and the lore overall?
Okay, so I can take this one. This is a great question. So the first part, it's actually asking multiple questions at once that we can answer just in our philosophy of how we operate. So the first thing is, okay, why do most NFT projects fail? Right? Why does the hype die down? Because they don't do anything. They don't do anything but shuffle tokens around. We all know it. You can look at a tokenomics and tell you if you're getting ripped off. You've been in this game long enough. It's just people trying to obfuscate that fact. So they use a lot of wordy words and they'll use graphs. It's just moving money from column A to column B while taking a little bit and putting it into column C, which is their pocket. We don't do that. All of our capital is derived from chain value. So we are onboarding value that doesn't exist. Second, will we work with other NFT communities? Yes. Aaron talks with them. Why do we not need to? Because like I said, our philosophy, we onboard value. We don't just take money from one person, give it to the next, which means we don't need hopium. We don't need hype. We don't need when Lambo. So the reason why most NFT projects do this, because they've fished out their pond. So they've taken all the money from their first set of customers. Then they take all the money from their second set of customers and they've fished out their entire village. Then they got to reach out to a new community with new idea, new JPEG you can own. And they do a cross collaboration where it's basically our NFTs, but in these people's styles. Then their customers buy from us because everybody has a fiat wallet. Most of us have jobs, right? So that's the reason why that typically happens in the NFT world. It's not something we're hyper focused on at the moment. We're looking at planning our own standard, planning our own flag and setting like the pace that others are going to be measured against. But there are a few projects I would personally like to work with and a few that we've spoken to that we might do some collaborations. But the spirit of your question, it's not high on our priority at the moment. Not that we don't want customers, not that we don't want people to come over here, but it's just you don't need to fish someone else's pond and we can feel like they would get more the rub than we would at this point. But feel free to DM. You guys might be the exception, inshallah.
That answers your question, Big Wall. It's a good one. Good one. Next one is this is a great question. It's actually very relevant to folks who are trying to think day 1, day 2, day 3. What do I do? By the way, pardon me. So I am going to be creating and curating some walkthrough videos. You guys don't see the household. You haven't seen the household. You haven't seen. Some of you may haven't seen the household. You haven't seen the higher page. I'm going to walk through that. I'm actually going to be doing some video walkthroughs. I'll keep them short. So you're going to see this, and I'm a visual learner, right? I can read something. That's great. I can learn from that, but I also learn the greatest and the best from seeing, hearing, and watching. So I'm going to give you guys that modality to be able to see and hear and watch. So I'll be putting those out. I don't want to put a deadline to it because I don't want to miss it, but next few days, hopefully I'll get those out, and those will be on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, we'll get that posted in the Discord and the official links as well. So keep an eye out on that. But that's based on the question that I'm going to ask. Zulfiqar, did you want to add something before I ask the question?
Just want to make sure that I didn't close the door on that. So if you do have an NFT community that is having a difficult time at the moment, feel free to reach out to us. There are ways that we can license our services, utility, and maybe we could do something. But freedom ain't free. Costs $1.05.
Heard that. Hey, we are never closed off the conversations. So we say, might nibble, but we don't bite, promise. So if you're an NFT community, or if you're thinking, hey, have something I think I can add as value to Fifth Kingdom, reach out to me or Zulfiqar. I'd be love to talk to you, either publicly or via DM request. So Crips asking this question. It's a really good question. That's why I brought up walkthrough videos I'm going to do, because I think it'll actually help a lot with this question, but we're going to answer it anyway. What is one strategic mistake you believe most new citizens will make when building their first household? And what mindset should players adopt today if they want to be positioned for success when the game fully launches?
Can I go first, please?
Permission granted.
Thank you. I think people are going to see the NFTs they get and the skills they get, like what I alluded to earlier, and they're going to think, okay, this is my household from now until forever. Let me be the first one to tell you, your secondary traits will be able to be re-rolled. You will be able to level up your Lord NFT, which will give you more skill spots, so you can get more skills for your Lord. You'll be able to re-roll skills. So as we introduce more features like crafting, like some other stuff that we're not announcing yet, I'll plead the fifth. But as we unveil these, you're going to get a whole new set of skills that you can get, which will allow you to participate and dictate your level of participation in those systems. So what you start with is not most likely going to be where you evolve to. So get yourself to a good position for the phase that you're in. Always in the back of your mind, think about, okay, if they were to introduce a new feature that I wanted, which one of these secondary traits would I be willing to give up to get at? That's what I think most people will I don't want to call it a mistake, but that could be a pitfall they fall into. They get themselves super set up for phase one, and as soon as something new comes in, it messes up their plan. Keep yourself, look at our roadmap, trust in our ability to execute, and presume that you will want something more than what you currently have. Because everything we come up with, in my opinion, is more fun. It's why we're doing it. That's how I would answer that question. But there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's, so do what you want.
No, there's not. It's a tough question for me to answer personally because I've been in ecosystems where there's people that have this almost like this hacker mindset where they know the system, they've studied the system, they've thought about the system, and they know how to, not in a bad way, but they know how to take advantage of the system the best way themselves based on how it's built. So there are people like that, they really study it versus somebody who has a baseline understanding, comes in, they understand that, okay, all NFTs can be lords or companions. The only difference is where they're placed in your household. I can get this type of monthly discovery rate. I can play the game. I could do both, right? I can flip NFTs. I can earn from the game and from the household. So all these different modalities and ways. And I think what people will do is they'll pick one way and they might forego. I don't say they'll miss the other ways, but they might forego the other ways, right? For example, if they are playing the game, they will have an NFT. Of course, they'll have their Lord because that's how you earn in the game. They'll unlock the mines, people will deposit, and they'll earn the fees monthly and then eventually the 50-50 split. But they're missing on the monthly resource generation from actually going into the mines through USDT deposits. So they're not taking advantage of that system. So there's multiple ways to earn in the system. And I think if somebody picks one and they don't fully understand all of them, they might pick one and say, if I had participated on both ends, I could take advantage of both sides. The gaming from discovering the mines and the depositor going into the mine. So now I'm earning on both sides. I think there's some strategy that people will maybe overlook. Of course, will maybe take time of actually going into the ecosystem, doing the gaming side, doing just the DeFi side and understanding how they both work. And or obviously seeing some of these videos I'm going to be putting out and reading for the documentation as well. But I don't know if it's a mistake. Again, it's not a mistake, I would say. It's just maybe we're looking certain parts of the system and maybe not understanding the overall relationship that they have with each other. So I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, I just want to reiterate, everyone, there is no way to lose in this system, candidly. There are no losers. There are no people being left with the bag. If you get in, alhamdulillah, good for you. There's good, there's better, and there's best. The only way you will ever feel not great is if you allow that green-eyed jealousy monster to take over and you look at what somebody else has. The only delta that exists is in people's household power. And so you might look at somebody who has a better household than you and be a little jealous. But think about the people that aren't even in this project, who are still trying to flip like JPEGs and who leverage their houses. Those poor people. So everyone's good. Some will be better. Your goal should be to be the best. And like Shadow said, the best way to do that, in my opinion, is to participate in most systems, but we'll see. I feel like Ruby Rod. I want all positions.
Well, I'm feeling like I want to answer all the questions. I can't. I just think we have about maybe 10, 12 minutes left. I've actually got a lot of really good questions. Let's see. I was going to answer this one and I saw two above it. So I'm going to go to these couple questions. By the way, I know Fun Fantasy Football, Zara, Archives, you're asking really good questions. I just don't know I can get to them. We'll see if we have enough time.
Let's try to be succinct. Let's just
we'll be succinct for sure. Okay, so I'm going to go first to Zahir and then two below it, actually. This is a really good one. This is a really good question. I don't think we've touched on it yet. I'm aware of. Will NFTs maintain utility if sold to another player, or will the progression stay attached to the original owner? Could certainly lores become historically significant because of the achievements that were accomplished by their owners? That's a really good question. We haven't even spoken about this. Please start with this and I'll add on to it as well.
Yes, full stop. That's the point. What you do today dictates what tomorrow and the day after looks like. With what we've said and the way we've positioned this product, if it didn't, you could call me a liar. It has to. It has to be on brand. If it didn't, then it wouldn't be Fifth Kingdom. 100% yes. 101% yes.
We haven't even discussed that. That's a really good point. We're going to start adding that to some of the documentation. But yes, the answer is yes. That's actually one of the things. I'll try to be succinct here as well. It's actually one of the things that is going to make the NFTs even more valuable. If you're thinking of this from, I'm just going to throw a term out, like people who invest in real estate, they take property, they fix it up, and then they flip it. If you could take an NFT, boost it up, and then that progression follows that NFT, how much is that worth to somebody who doesn't want to go through all the steps you went through to progress it? That's something to consider. So yes, we'll touch on that more. Great question. Lance is asking, one of our brand ambassadors, Fifth Kingdom succeeds in becoming a thriving digital economy. What role do you envision households playing in future expansions? Could they eventually evolve from simple game structures into autonomous communities, guilds, or governance units within the kingdom? The answer is yes.
That's a
But
great
Zulfar,
question.
go ahead.
Well, that's a great question. Okay, I could talk about this for an hour by itself. The answer is yes. The way I view it is your household, that's your company. Your little entrepreneur, you're in the fifth kingdom, you're going out there trying to find your fortune, make your fortune. Your household's your company. Your guild is like your conglomerate. It's a group of companies and players that team up in order to enhance, strategize, team up, get access to things that individual households don't have access to. It just adds more buying power and the power of communities. So I actually view guilds as being more like what we traditionally view guilds as right now. It's a decentralized organization of players that structure themselves, have their own rules, and govern themselves. The only difference with us is that we allow each guild leader that gets accepted. Of course, not all guilds get accepted. You have to have certain thresholds. And as the project gets bigger, those thresholds will go up. But each archon, your guild leader is called an archon. Each archon gets one vote. Whoever your guild leader is has to represent your interest, whether you're making your money via delving, crafting, positing into discoveries, whatever you're doing, you need to make sure your guild is your guild leader is arguing for your interests. And with that in mind, guild leaders need to make sure that they are forming alliances with their archons to ensure that you have more bargaining power when you're bringing ideas, outcomes that you want to the rest of the guild leaders. The most powerful guild in this game cannot bully another guild. That's not the way the senatorial system works. So it's going to require people to have a little bit of trust and really manage themselves. And the reason why we did this is because you can't know every player by name, need, and ability. A lot of project leaders try to be very hands-on and centralized and, oh, I love you all and I'm going to do the best for you. It's impossible. It would be a promise that we couldn't fulfill. So we are moving the administrative organization to the lowest levels possible, making it as close to the players as possible. So within reason, govern yourselves. I believe in you.
Great answer. So
Crazy. We're going to have some narrative events where goblins come and destroy you all. So that's a warning.
prepare. I'll answer this one just really quickly. VYOR, I don't know how to say your name. The player rolls a week based on utility on their household. Does the 45-day commitment lock hires risk trapping them in an unoptimized position? No, because you're going to have to strategize the companions in your Lord and place them. And the Lord can be unstaked at any time. The companions have a 45-day lock. That's because we realized people could game the system. They were constantly staking and unstaking companions. So just strategize, make your decision. You can always unstake your Lord, but the companions do require a 45-day stake on that. So just to touch on that. And Zahir, I think we answered this question, but I'll ask it again and then give a brief answer. Basically, he's asking, can skilled players realistically outperform larger holders through strategies alone if the larger holders are like whales or they have better positions? And the answer is yes, you can. You can absolutely strategize better because you got to remember, whales might participate in gameplay. You can outgame and outplay people. That's very possible. So you can actually earn a larger portion of the mine. You could be earning more from that mine. You can reorganize your household. There's just different things you could do. Somebody coming in just with pure, USDT as a whale, something might have a advantage on one standpoint, but they don't have the ultimate advantage overall. Zulfiqar, you want to say something on that?
That's where we get into like the discussion of who's the best pound for pound fighter. Yeah, heavyweight's a heavyweight for a reason. They touch you, you're getting knocked out. So somebody that comes in with 250K USDT, if your idea of can they compete with, are they going to probably make more than a person that has like 1,000 USDT? Of course, that's just a mathematical reality. However, like Shadow said, if you're actually participating in the systems, you're probably making more stuff. And so you're getting more bang for your buck pound for pound because you are a crafter and you're high level. So you're taking these materials you get and you're turning them into things that other people want that other guy can't make. And so you're getting 100x on your time. You're getting a 10x on your time, whereas this person's getting a 1.2. But sheer static volume. I hope that answers your question. So people that want to be play to win, they'll have bigger returns. But for outcome, you can absolutely crush them by that metric via participation.
Yes.
And leveling.
Yes.
There's no way I think that John Jones is a better boxer than Floyd Mayweather, but if they boxed, Bones would destroy him.
It is interesting when you look at it from those two different angles. I think maybe one more question, then we can wrap up here. This is a good question, I think, to end on. Shelby is asking, can companions, this is a question about companions specifically, can companions ever evolve, gain titles, or be upgraded into secondary lords over time? Or do they stay as pure support NFTs that enhance the primary lord's identity? It's a really good question. Answer that first, Zulfiqar, and then I can touch on that briefly as well, if you don't mind.
Yes. The only difference between a lord and a companion is you put them there.
As far as being upgraded, sky's the limit. Anytime somebody asks a question about like the game or have you thought about this? If you thought about it, there's a good chance we thought about it. And if we thought about it, sky's the limit. It's always possible. We've definitely discussed a lot of those types of ideas. So this is where the community input comes into play and is extremely valuable and can possibly be acted on down the road. So you could definitely see a possibility, not guaranteeing it, but a possibility where companions have upgrades. Even maybe your lords have upgrades over time. So keep that in mind. And yes, we are planning on the token. I think that's been asked a lot. There is a plan. I can't get into too many details for it right now, but yes, there is a plan for token down the road.
And the tokenomics perfect down to the smallest minute detail.
Nobody has seen tokenomics. We've already had that system designed, by the way. It's ready to be built. Their fifth kingdom sells out in July. That, yes, can't go into more details, but those tokenomics, everybody says their tokenomics are perfect, right? We've seen a lot of mistakes made, and we've seen a lot of, hey, if you just pivoted like this, you could have made that perfect. We've taken all those, put it into that token system that will come after fifth kingdom. So very excited about that. Can't wait to share that in the coming months. You guys, I think when you see that, you're going to be blown away. But I'd love to keep talking about it. I can't though. Sorry.
To answer little MK, yes, I did. You're not the real hero. I'm the real hero. I'm just kidding. You guys are heroes.
Exactly. Thank you, guys. Thank you thank you, Shadow. Thank you, Luffy, for giving the time to the community today to answer all the questions. Everyone, if we did not answer your question, as you mentioned, please drop it in the general chat or anywhere, and we'll make sure to answer it. And next week, we'll have a busy next week. We have a lot of stuff coming, but most importantly, on Monday we have the weekly gameplay. It will be held earlier than usual to check the announcement that will go out after this May. For more details, it will be more exciting. We will be more involved in the gameplay, so make sure to attend it. And also, we do have few surprises next week, something that has to do with the contest that we're launching. So be there, keep your notifications on, and let's go for next week. So thank you everyone for attending.
Real quick, Jean-Claude, let me just add something.
The
Sorry.
Sophie, if you have anything to add.
Sorry, I want to mention something. So we streamed the game this last Monday. Some of you showed up, some of you didn't. We are going to be streaming it again on Monday. There's going to be a cash prize. Show up and play the game. We'll randomly pick 3 people, but you may want to actually play the game. If you have not played the game already, get good at the game, because starting Monday and beyond, we're going to be running contests for the game. If you have not played the game, fifthkingdom.com, connect your wallet, click game. It's not super difficult to understand. Once you play it, you'll get it within a minute or two. But we are going to start streaming that every Monday. There's going to be contests, so you want to get good at the game. Overtake Zulfiqar. I keep trailing him like a trail driver off-road, but I'm trying to catch him up. So get good at the game. Starting Monday, we're going to be streaming it. Cash prizes will show up, and have fun.
The last thing I'll sign off with is play it, because embers are really easy to get right now. They're not going to be that easy at MVP. So for those of you that are in the open alpha and then soon the closed beta, enjoy getting those embers, because it's never going to be this easy again. You're going to want those end of July. And stop talking mess about Dark Sister. She's great. I love her. Gotten to rank 12. What's your excuse?
Can't give you strategies. Go ahead and play the game. And actually, I can give you some strategies. I'll give those on Monday. I'll give some on Monday. But so guys, thank you so much for showing up. There will be a recording of this. We'll get it posted as soon as possible. I don't know, either today or over the weekend on our YouTube channel. Jean-Claude, you want to sign off with anything before we wrap up?
Yes, I want to mention that the YouTube channel link is now in the official links channel and in the Start Here guide. So make sure to go there and go to our YouTube and subscribe and wait the recording.
Heard from the man himself.
Assalamu alaikum. Wallahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, everyone.
Take care, guys.
care.
God bless.
Bye-bye,
Thanks for
everyone.
showing up.